Welcome to the Obvious Podcast. This is episode number 104. I'm Sonny Maken, COO at ABC Florida East Coast.
And I'm Peter Dyga, President and CEO at ABC Florida East Coast.
You are listening or watching to the Obvious Podcast, where all opinions expressed are our own unless we say otherwise.
Make sure you subscribe to the Obvious Podcast wherever you listen, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. You can also connect with us on Instagram, X, Truth Social, and TikTok, where we share clips, updates, and more. All of our links are waiting for you in the show notes. And if you have feedback or an idea for a future episode, send us a note anytime at theobvious@abceastflorida.com. Happy Friday, Sonny. Welcome to part 2.
Thank you. Welcome to part 2. This should be a good conversation.
So looking forward to it.
Likewise. We have two liberal Democrats having a conversation. One has looked at facts and changed his mind, or as they like to say, evolved his thinking. And then you have another one who hasn't. And this is the conflict you see. And I think it's super interesting.
You know, I think there's some other implications, this whole thing to what's going on right now in politics and in the Democrat Party in particular, with the rise of
the Democrat
socialism and communism and the DSA and whatnot. All right, so maybe I haven't thought out this thoroughly. Help me out here. So
Sure.
When I'm thinking of the Democrats that we seem to be seeing a little more of, which I'm thankful for, that are saying these socialists and communists in our party are nuts. Now, you and I have had side conversations about whether these Democrats that are being a little more vocal, whether it's the
preservation of power or versus
right, or the fact that they fear
really are concerned.
They fear they're going to lose the elections if they don't
so I'm thinking of the guy from Pennsylvania, the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Fetterman.
Right,
is it Josh Fetterman?
Yeah, there's some. But then who's the consultant that's what's his name? That's
he looks like an old snake that's about to die.
He's saying it. I saw a clip the other day of another couple others. Anyway, the point
Bill Maher's pretty upset. I mean, Bill Maher's
so there are some, and again, we could argue and have a whole show on are they doing that because they really disagree, or is it a disagreement of degree rather than direction? And and quite frankly, I think you and I both believe. I'm not sure you could tell me what the real difference is between, the Democrat policies in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years versus what the DSA. The difference is they're being a little more honest and vocal about it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that aside, the point that I was trying to connect to the confirmation bias is exactly that. These Democrats that are objecting and being a little more vocal, they're having a hard time because of the confirmation bias of seeing that these DSA candidates now, socialist candidates, are just them. Am I making sense? It's just they can't all of a sudden see that we're one and the same. We're both pursuing kind of the same objectives and goals.
So the moderates are having a hard time seeing themselves in the radicals?
Because of the confirmation bias. Because for years, the truth is, they're radical and they're different.
Right.
We're not, that's not part of our party. So they're having a hard time now realizing, yeah, it really was. I mean, these doing away with ICE.
Yeah.
I mean, that's mainstream Democratic thought right now. That's the DSA.
Yeah, that's not a DSA idea anymore. Yeah.
Doing away with the Supreme Court. I mean, they wanted to pack it and make it, how it's a matter of degree.
Yeah.
Doing away with the Senate, wanting to add people from, Washington, D.C.
It's so interesting you would say that.
Let's see. I mean, we could go on and on.
So I've been traveling a lot over the last month, right? So we started with our chapter presidents conference in San Diego. I'm from San Diego.
Travel.
I went to D.C. From D.C., I was in Naples for a conference, and I was in Tampa for a meeting. And then I was in New York City. So in San Diego, in D.C., in Naples, and in New York, I watched a little bit of local television. And on local television, obviously it's political season. There's a lot of political ads, right? And San Diego and D.C., every single candidate ad I saw, and I was tracking it because I was paying attention to it, every single candidate ad I saw, it didn't matter, county, state, federal. Trump's the worst. I'll stand up to Trump. Trump's evil. We will fight him. We'll get rid of ICE. We'll get rid of. We'll increase the number of judges on the Supreme Court. We'll shut down all the stuff that Trump's doing. Every single candidate. I mean, and it honestly didn't matter what office they were. You could be running for county commissioner in San Diego, and this was their message, right?
Right.
I get to this is in San Diego. I get to DC, same message. He's awful. He's awful. We'll fight. We'll fight. We'll fight. I get to Naples, and Naples is a very sort of right-leaning conservative Republican. I'm real MAGA. The other guy is a fake MAGA, right? I'm real. I will stand with Trump. The other guy will screw Trump.
A lot of the gubernatorial campaigns for the governors in Florida is kind of
is like that. But this was like congressional candidates in Naples. It was a county commissioner, same thing, right? Like it was fascinating. I get to New York, and it was back to what I saw in DC and San Diego. Like, this guy will not stand up to Trump. I'll stand up. It was fascinating, right? So. But what made me think of that was your point about...
So there's not a hill of beans of difference worth between the Democrats standing up saying the socialist communist wing of our party is gone too far.
I can tell you, taxing...
And what the communists and the socialists are actually fighting for.
Yeah, so it was the same talking point. So all the ads I saw in San Diego, D.C., New York were, I'll make sure that the rich pay their fair share. One guy was like...
I mean, have we been hearing that for our whole lives from the Democrat?
Of course.
Fair share.
Fair share.
Soak the rich.
Yeah.
Tax them.
Eat the rich.
Eat the rich.
Tax the rich.
I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference? I mean, you've heard me talk about how, and I wish, this would, we could figure out a way, the Republicans figure out a way of campaigning or sloganeering this, but, eliminating ICE is just open borders 2.0. Right?
Eliminating ICE. Yeah, exactly.
Because if you do away with the law enforcement agency that actually enforces immigration laws, well, you've got open borders now. It's just they've been spanked on the actual open borders, and they lost, and that. So they've moved on from that, and now they've moved on to just do away with ICE. It's the same damn thing.
Yeah. Because they won't say open up the borders.
Right.
They'll just say
now the difference is the mainstream Democrats today will just talk about eliminating ICE, which is open borders 2.0. But the communist socialist wing of the party is just outright talking about open borders.
Yeah.
Right. So again, it's a matter of degree or how you talk about it.
Actually, it's just a matter of language.
Matter of language.
Yeah, it's just a matter of language and phrasing it a little differently.
That's right.
That's a very interesting point. Certainly not one I had thought of, but that's
we didn't have to wait till now with the candidates that are running and starting to win primaries to have to deal with the idea of cashless bail, with soft on crime. We've been dealing this with our whole lives between left and right. One side being more soft on crime.
I mean, this was an ad.
Letting out people over and over and over and over
this
again.
was an ad during Bush Dukakis.
Yeah.
Right?
To my point, I mean, this has been around a long time. Yeah. The difference is this communist socialist wing now of the party is just being a little more direct about it. And now all of a sudden you have some in the Democrat Party being like, whoa, Nelly, which really tells you they are a little bit worried about the messaging.
So your point is that they're not worried about the content of the message. They're worried about the political price.
Yeah.
The stark language would cause them to pay.
Agreed, completely. And by the way, you even see this among some of the communist socialist candidates in the wing of the party. Some of them are even backing up, right? You've seen...
the guy in Michigan.
He'll be like, I'm not a socialist. I'm just a capitalist. I know how the system works.
Yeah, that's the guy from Michigan says that.
And then the lady that's running for governor, I think, in Michigan, she was like... Or it's different ones when asked about this very controversial platform that DSA has... they will, to some degree or another, say, well, not immediately.
Right.
It's or part of a midterm or long-term planning. So they're even backing up from some of this stuff. Yeah. And all I'm arguing is, along the whole spectrum, that's all you got. You really don't have a difference in policy or their approach. It's just a matter of whether it's short-term, midterm, or long-term, and how aggressively you talk about it. Yeah. And that's the only difference.
So I was thinking...
So I'm not real sympathetic to the Jim Carville's of the world. That's the guy we're talking about.
James Carville. Yeah.
James Carville. And others that talk about, all of a sudden, woe is us. This is awful. Well, this is your party. Yeah. This is the party.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. It's taking the same ideas.
Talking about that got us on this.
I don't know, but I do want to make this point.
Dana Bash.
The Dana Bash clip.
Banana.
The banana.
Dana Bash.
I wanted to make this point. Because if you watched our episode last week, or our last two episodes about taxation, the grocery store that Mamdani wants to build, which is costing like $45 million in taxpayer money.
What an awesome new idea.
Right. Yeah, well,
is it really a new idea?
I mean, it worked so well in Moscow. Like,
right. Well, I think every Chicago, Seattle, I think every single one of these cities has tried
Kansas
it.
City,
and they end up shutting it down because, anyway. And look, anybody want to take a bet? I mean, this one will be shut down too. It will not survive. It will not work.
Right.
You just can't buck human nature.
But I wonder how much damage he will do.
That's the problem
with
leftist policies.
To the bodega owners who are paying taxes.
They'll be run out of business.
Yeah. And they're the ones paying the taxes that's funding the stupid grocery store.
Right.
And it's so interesting to me because it's like the irony of all of that, right? Like, anyway, these people keep voting these people in, and it's like, you guys made your bed. These are the consequences you're going to get. Right.
Look, to voters who, for some reason, find this type of politics or ideas attractive, there's value in experience.
Yeah.
There's value in history. I heard that they're like the RFP for the first government-run program. Which, by the way, is not really government run. They're going to put an RFP out there and have somebody run it, and they're going to dictate. The RFP doesn't even say where the stores are going to be.
For the grocery stores?
Yeah. Now, how can you
respond to an RFP?
But this shows you to my point of why experience matters. Right. You can't substitute. You elect a guy because he sounds good and he's got the messaging down and he's got some ideas that you've been, to my point, been hearing for decades. It's not really anything new, right? Healthcare for all. Well, I mean, Medicare was supposed to do that. Medicaid was supposed to do that. Obamacare was supposed to do that. I mean, but we're still, it sounds great, and I love the idea. Let's keep pursuing it. Free grocery stores and lower, all this sounds great. But then when the guy actually has to manage this and do it, they send out an RFP, and not even letting the bidders know where it's going to be located. And that has a little something to do with the cost in your operations, My point is they got no experience running business, right?
Right. None.
So even if the idea itself is going to fail.
Mm-hmm. So there's a writer, you might have seen him. I think he was on TV recently. Who's Henderson, I think is his name, and he coined the term luxury beliefs.
Love that.
And he defines.
I don't think I've heard it, but in my mind, I know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, and he defines luxury beliefs.
A first world problem.
Right. But it's people who perpetuate beliefs they themselves have never been subject to, right? Mm-hmm. So I know something about Mamdani's background. He's got a very wealthy mother who's a film director, won an Oscar, well known in sort of the creative elite circle.
Okay.
Father's an academic, very successful, but he was born and raised in Uganda, in Africa. In a very wealthy sort of enclave of Uganda, grew up with servants and all of that.
Shocking. One of the most interesting things that's come out of all this is the information about most of these supporters of the DSA are overeducated and underpaid. Well, you can't say underpaid. They're probably getting paid exactly what they're worth. But undereducated, low paid.
Right, low paid. But the leaders don't even fall into that because the leaders are all wealthy. The guy in Michigan.
That's a great point.
Right? Is making $700,000 a year.
Oh, yeah. The leaders are different.
Than
the followers. Yeah.
Yeah. The only one I can think of as an exception would be maybe AOC. But then the other lady from Minnesota, she's got
They all pretend to be poor, though, don't they?
Right.
There are some that are rich, but I think a lot of them still pretend to be poor.
Yeah. That's because it's cool in their circles, right? Oh, you're one of us.
Like the lady running for Michigan governor, didn't she living in her parents' whatever up until
the Wisconsin governor, the Asian lady?
Wisconsin, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's running for Wisconsin.
Wisconsin governor, and she's been living in her parents' basement. They started a business for her, and she racked up $30,000 in credit card debt that they had to pay off. Yeah. I mean, God help us.
Yeah. It's insane.
Jim Carville, call your office.
Yeah.
James Carville.
But to your point, does he really even care about the actual policy? I don't think he does. I think he just cares about that the messaging is what's going to get him killed politically. Mm-hmm. And that's really the price he's worried about. Mm-hmm. It's super interesting to me how there is this disconnect between these super educated people, right? But low paid, who are sort of attracted to the DSA and all of that.
Yeah, I would even start to challenge the educated, formally educated. Just because you have the credentials and you go to some fancy school, how educated can you be? Right. If in light of all the history of how socialism fails, you right? I even want to challenge which is kind of, we've come full circle because we talked about challenging authority and challenging, and you and I both are the kind that, a lot of accepted norms and sayings and labels and things are like, no, highly educated, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How educated can you be?
If
you're that dumb.
That's a great point. I heard this.
You got the credentials, you got the degrees.
Right. But doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I heard some, and I cannot tell you, this wasn't my thought, but it was very interesting. He said, if you listen to this DSA people, this was some academic, or not academic, but a writer talking on TV the other day. And he's like, if you listen to the DSA people and you listen to all these democratic socialists, he said, they will never cite any great democratic socialists from like Sweden or Iceland or Denmark, right? He said they're always citing Mao and guys from the Soviet Union. Yeah. Their whole idea is,
because those Sweden, Switzerland, Norway, because those countries aren't socialist,
right?
I mean, they're
benefit heavy,
capitalist,
right? The government doesn't control every means of production, but that's what they want. They want to control every means of production.
Right. Yep.
Which is very sort of true socialism and veering into communism. Controlling all of the means of production is communism. And this idea that these guys who have never been, because this was my whole point about the whole luxury belief point, right? Mamdani's never had to go to a government grocery store and do any shopping, right? He's never stood in line in Moscow for hours just to buy bread or to buy oranges or whatever, like the way they used to have to. And there's a very famous story that I want to talk about I think it was the early 90s. This is about Boris Yeltsin when he came to the U.S. He was convinced, right? Have you heard this? He was convinced that...
Went to that grocery store?
Yeah, he went to the grocery store in Texas. It was a surprise visit.
Yeah.
And he was convinced that the pictures he had seen of American grocery stores were fake.
Yeah, until he walked into one on a surprise.
And so he did an unannounced surprise visit in like Richardson, Texas or something.
Dallas, Richardson? Was that where it was?
Right, right outside Dallas. And then got the manager to tell him the truth. And then he would walk behind the frozen food section because he thought there would be nothing there. Was blown away. And this is all from his biography. This is not some urban myth. He writes about this. Yeltsin wrote about this in his own biography.
Confirmation bias. He was able to overcome it.
Because he saw different facts than what he believed and realized that he was wrong. And basically,
well, seeing the facts is not the problem. You got people that's our whole point. There are people pointing it out.
Yeah.
People telling you that socialism, those ideas don't work. That those studies, that just because you say science, the problem isn't having it pointed out. Although that's a challenge, right? It's difficult in this day and age because the news media doesn't do that. They used to be that role.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't do that anymore.
They gave that up a long time ago.
They're just propaganda arm. So it's not so much. That's a challenge, but the bigger challenge is people being able to overcome.
Yeah.
We've talked about the lack of reasoning anymore.
Yeah.
I think I alluded, and I realized afterwards I got it wrong. It wasn't. It was not about. About how you used to in high school, I think, have a class or be challenged about how to determine the difference between, and it was fact and opinion.
Yeah.
Were the two, right? That's your ability to reason. What is opinion and what is fact?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, this was I wish we could end this on a more hopeful note, but let's see. Let's see what.
Well, you know what
path we go down on.
The way to correct these things is. Always has been in the ballot box, right? You give them a drumming, which we can do as a country.
Yeah.
And there'll be some reassessment and some realignment. There already was since the last presidential election on the open borders, and they realized they lost that argument and they lost a few others. Now it'll come back. It's like a 7-headed hydrant. What is that called? The monster?
Dragon? Yeah.
It's you cut something off and a new one will grow up. So, right. So like open borders 2.0. So instead of fighting for the open borders.
Yeah.
Which, again, unfortunately, they got this wing now that's just point blank saying, no, open borders are great. And they're like, shut the hell up. We can't be talking about that. We got it killed in the last election because of that. Talk instead about doing away with ICE. That's our new open borders 2.0 policy. So,
but I think we are. So I'm going to tell you this story. I was in New York, as you remember, a few weeks ago, New York City, and I had a bunch of conversations with a bunch of people who actually live in the city, right? And the first one that really kind of struck in my head. We were at one of those like mom and pop pizza places, like the New York pizza places, right? And somewhere in Brooklyn, I think, I don't even remember. And it was this, Italian American family.
Pizza's really better because they're made with that Brooklyn dirty water?
Nonsense. And I know I'm going to get hate mail from the New Yorkers on this, but that's fine. It was fine. I mean, it wasn't terrible pizza, but it wasn't like it wasn't like unbelievable compared to what we get here in Florida, right?
We should do blind taste tests.
We should, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It's whatever. I mean, I had a bagel. I'm like, this tastes great, but
confirmation bias, Sonny.
It's just like, oh, our water's better, please. Anyway, so I'm sitting there talking to the owner of the place, Pete, right? Italian guy from New Jersey. He's been there.
I like him already.
Grandfather's restaurant that had been in their family.
I don't know how you make a living.
And I looked at him. I'm like, why aren't you moving to Florida? And his face lit up. And he's like, oh, man, we've been looking. Miami's expensive. Where do you suggest? So we talked about Fort Lauderdale.
It's not the only place to live.
Right. We talked about Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, Orlando. We talked about a lot of stuff. But he's like, so I talked about, I would say like 3 or 4 business owners. Every single one wants to get out of New York. Then I would talk to people who had jobs there or who were academics or who were teaching there. I would never move to Florida. Are you kidding? New York's great. Look at all this culture.
Good.
Right?
It's a snowball.
And there's a clear distinction sort of between
sure.
people who run their own businesses and deal with the government and people who are just sort of...
People with experience.
Versus
the people with certificates and degrees. But no knowledge and no smarts.
Clear delineation and sort of how
they have their... What's your term for the...
Oh, luxury beliefs.
Yeah, they have their luxury beliefs.
Yeah, their luxury beliefs. And they're not subject to it, so they're like, it's great. Let everybody live with it.
Well, it's been a fun conversation.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it. I hope you all have. So,
wish we could give you some more hopeful answers, but
Well, get out there and vote.
All right.
Send a message.
Throw the bums out.
Best way to do it. Unfortunately, most elections boil down to turnout and enthusiasm.
Yeah. And it's
and if certain people that kind of thought like us were complaining and worried about the cost of living and affordability, and you had an opportunity to do something about it, and if you just consistently showed up to vote and did it every time and educated yourself, we wouldn't have these problems.
I can tell you, good public policy is a lot easier than moving your family to different parts of the country.
Amen. So anyway, we want to make sure you subscribe to our feed so you won't miss a single episode. Thank you for listening and honoring us with your time. We look forward to sharing another episode with you next Friday.
Yeah. For comments, send us an email at theobvious@abceastflorida.com. We will see you next week.
Until next Friday. Ciao.
Take care.